It's when we say, "Oh, I'm so happy that you showed up today." And that's incidentally paradoxical information. And any time that a person is met with paradoxical or two separate, discrete pieces of information,
okay.
One is verbal, conscious, the other is other than conscious, this part, the human being will always respond to the other than conscious first.
Which was this part, regardless of the words.
Yeah. I love you.
I don't believe you.
No kidding. So as a consequence, I will make an effort to demonstrate for them congruency, and then to offer them some ideas as to how they can pay more attention to the whole communication. And the term other than conscious communication, and more specifically the word communication, communication means to me anything and everything anyone does, period, whether you can at this moment in time recognize it or not. For example, I have people come back to the 2-week things that I do, and they will notice things that they didn't notice the first time. Because as we grow up, we tend to become more dependent on one system of awareness over another. And as a consequence, we may not be seeing as much as is there to be seen. Or we may be very selective in what we hear or don't hear. We'll hear a tone of voice, which then starts us off in an internal search that gets us so busy with pictures, did you notice what you were doing? Inside your head, that then you lose track of what I was saying.
So I forget to pay attention to you, therefore I'm not going to react appropriately to this. I'm going back and getting something here.
Yeah, you were busy, and when I used that harsh tone of voice, you went back inside someplace, and you're watching your own movie show. And so anyway, that I would do, and I think probably I will make the effort to offer some things that you can notice that have been going on all the time in your communication with other people. And when you have this awareness, then you have more of a choice in how you can respond. Unfortunately, in most of our cases, most people operate off of patterns of behavior. They have patterns of speech, patterns of thinking, patterns of whatever, and they just use those patterns, which are triggered off by certain words. Their wife looks at them a certain way. Boom, they do a certain thing. Hi, how are you? I'm fine, how are you? Nice little trigger mechanisms. And in a way, this situation here in Michigan, years ago, I was in Orange County when North American Rockwell closed up a factory there, and they had 19,000 engineers that were laid off in a 30-day period. And it was a difficult time. And it's especially difficult in the electrical engineering field when you've been working in kind of a government job, more or less, government contracts, and gotten so stultified in it that you haven't kept up with the state of the art. So all of a sudden now somebody comes along and punctures your balloon and says, hey, you're going to have to come out in the real world, take a look at the real world, find out that you're light years behind what's going on in electronics. That's bad enough. It was devastating to these people. But there was one guy down there who, well, more than one, but this one pops into my mind. He decided to look around and find out what was needed. And in Orange County in those days, they didn't have a taxi. So he went down, and in those days, he just went in, filled out the paperwork, got a license. He now has a cab.
So he kind of did what the little kids did. He adapted and survived the experience.
But if we keep hung up on the old stuff that's in there,
we don't move on.
Well, who wants to move? I mean, get on with life.
Get on with life.
We can start learning more. We can start doing more. The same energy we use to masticate this misery, we can use that same energy creatively.
Talk about the deep breath. I know we're almost at the end, and I want you to talk about the deep breath as one way to interrupt some old patterns.
Yeah. That's one of the obvious ones I'm surprised nobody's noticed. It's the oldest piece of hypnosis that the world's, I believe it was built into us by our Creator. If you watch a natural animal or a small child, when they're ready to go to sleep, they go, it's a sigh. It's not a deep breath. It's the exhalation. It's a sigh. This is a built-in signal we have that says, relax. Now, if you watch people who are in an emotional state of mind, they're like this. Better than that, on television, when you're watching these people who are doing the dives, high dives, they get out there and they go, and if you want to watch really happen, watch your basketball players when they have to make a free throw under pressure.
They prepare first.
They'll go. By using that sigh, what we do is we give ourselves the best opportunity to perform at our best, whether you're in sports or whether it's dealing with your wife, or your husband, or the kids.
So when you're aware, you sigh first.
When you find yourself getting tense, nervous, upset, break up the cycle. Break up the pattern so you don't get into this old garbage that's up here. Incidentally, the guy down in Orange County,
The taxi driver?
he owns fleet of cabs now, and he owns all these little trucks and stuff that take you from hotels and so forth to the airport. And that's a poor guy that got laid off.
Back then.
1969.
Well, Dave, I want to thank you for being here today.
All right.
And I look forward to this weekend. I know I'm going to enjoy it because I've survived some other experiences with you.
Well, I'm
And,
going to look forward to it. I guess I have to show up and find out what I'm going to say.
I guess you do. And I want to thank you for being here tonight on our show, Moving On. Thank you very much for being with us. And Dave, thank you. And this one? Give me the other one. Give me the other one. I would rather have that one.
Yeah.